episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And we've got some football to talk about today. We're going over our way too early NFL awards. I think that's what we call it. I tweeted mine out a while ago, which made them even way too earlier. But I think I might make a small change to my list since then. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Wednesday?
I'm pissed, to be honest with you.
Why?
I unfairly and unreasonably got community noted for saying that Jordan Love was turning 29 years old in August, because Theo was trying to compare him and Stroud, and I was calling Love an old man and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So
what did the community notes say?
He's not 29, he's 25.
The truth.
It's like, all right. But here's what's crazy about it. You said Leggett is older than him, and that's not true, but there's no community note for that. That's okay. Theo can lie, but Matthew can't. Different accounts play by different rules on this app now. Okay.
It's that white privilege that I've got.
Must be.
But
clearly it must be true.
But blonde and blue-eye Matthew Sponhour doesn't get the same privileges.
Right.
I just don't have the movement that you have, Matt. I'm irrelevant compared to what you say.
Stop.
Matt, didn't you hit 100,000 followers on Twitter recently?
Relatively recently.
Yeah.
Exactly. See, I've got a paltry 80K.
Blessing.
So
yeah, you do have a paltry 80K. I have been saying that.
So really, yeah, underground Twitter account Theo Ash NFL can lie and hardly anyone will notice. I did like your Google Trends analysis of the situation. You sent the amount of people who have Googled Jordan Love age in the last 24 hours, and there is a spike at about 1 p.m. yesterday, it looks like. I wonder who could be the cause of that.
Dude, that's so funny to me. Like, the number of people who quote tweeted it and were like, this scared me half to death that Jordan Love was about to be 29.
This will be Michael Penix Jr. in 4 years, though. Don't you worry.
He's not Michael Penix. Don't worry. I think he's about the same age. He's a year older. I am on Jerry West's basketball reference since he just passed. I didn't realize that he made the All-Star game every single year of his career, from 1960 to 1974. He's got the star next to his name from age 22 to 35. And did he ever win an MVP? It doesn't look like he ever won MVP, but he, according to Pro Football Reference, ranked 12th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and 6th.
Damn.
In NBA voting over the course of his career.
Getting 4 years in a row would be demoralizing.
3 years in a row, but still, he's got NBA first team basically every single one of those years. So rip Jerry West, your Pro Basketball Reference page is star-studded.
He's in the Hall of
and
Fame
you're the logo.
Multiple times for multiple things, and he built dynasties, and he was a great player. He did pretty much everything you possibly can. Shout out to him.
Shout out.
If you are the logo, that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, that is about as good as it gets. And never not making an all-star team. Like, not even when he was making the all-star team when you're a rookie and the last year of your career. There cannot be very many who accomplished this.
No, there's not. I'm trying to think of who else.
He might be the only one.
I'm sure there's a couple people. Modern, it's rarely happened.
It's nerd sesh. Let's go. All-star players first and last years of their career. It's got to be extremely rare. So rip Jerry West.
R.I.P.
But
Well, do we want to get into these? Well, Theo, how are you doing outside of that? You didn't.
oh,
I didn't
I'm
know if
here
that
at my
was your
cabin, so
spiel or.
no, it really wasn't. I'm here at my cabin. I caught some rock bass. I've been going fishing. I have a lure I'm
There you
very
go.
excited about that I got at Fleet Farm yesterday. I think I haven't caught anything on it yet, but I just threw it off the dock a couple times, and I think it has very good movement. And then Cammie was fishing off the dock with it too, and she doesn't really know much about fishing, but she agrees that it looks like a real fish. But she was more interested
Hey.
in, quote, cosplaying a fish. She thought it was fun to pretend to be a fish with the lure and was hoping that it would not get eaten. It's like, that's not really the point of fishing. But she wanted to avoid, her goal was to avoid getting eaten as the fish.
Interesting.
She just texted, she said, "You cannot say cosplay fish. I hate you. I'm not cosplaying fish." I didn't know she was listening.
It seems like I just don't think you can have just the good and none of the bad there, right? I mean, if you want to cosplay being a fish, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to accept sometimes you might get eaten. That's a big part of
You
being
might
a
get
fish,
eaten.
even.
That is a big part of
It
being a
is,
There's no
especially
shame
when
in
you're
it.
a little minnow and it's like feigning a limp, you know,
Well,
it's
what
kind
kind
of
of
on its
fish was she
side when it
cosplaying? You
rattles.
know.
Apparently
Just
a
a
minnow, I would
small bait
guess.
fish, you know. It's
Well,
it's very
Oh,
over
yeah,
for this
it's
minnow
over.
when it gets out
And
a
that's a
little
tough
deeper.
fish to
Yeah.
be.
It's a tough fish to beat, the humble bait fish. Yeah, I'm hoping to take
It's
that
very
lure out
humble.
after the record and have it get smoked by in this lake, probably about a 11-inch largemouth bass. That's about all you're gonna get. But you know, who knows? We'll see.
Who knows?
I've also
Big
been
fishing.
magnet fishing.
Oh,
You know, you tie a magnet to a rope and you throw it out. The problem I'm finding is that this
Fish aren't metal.
lake is a bit too natural. I need to take it to a grimy, like, city
Like a river. If you did that
sewer.
the Ohio River, you'd come up with cars and whatnot.
Yeah, here it's a little bit too pristine on the bottom. Me and my dad came up with this plan, and we were like, "Oh, we'll find car keys and we'll find sunglasses and like who knows what's down there." And I'm sure that those things are down there, but the lake is very clear and the bottom is kind of rocky. So the magnet is just kind of bouncing along the rocks at the bottom, and it's like if there was a pair of sunglasses or keys, we'd kind of see it beforehand. Like
Yeah.
we need something more we need a more disgusting place than we currently are with more litter in it, because this
There's
place,
more,
I feel
it needs to
like
be more public.
we've
Unironically, the
yeah,
Ohio River
we've
was
come up
better.
with, oh, no doubt. We've come up with some nails. I've come up with a drill bit from people like
Hey.
building their docks maybe, or bridges, and a
Yeah.
staple. So we haven't gotten skunked,
Wow.
but it's definitely not the kind of things that I was hoping for. I haven't found a gun or
I
a
was gonna
safe
make
or
a
anything
joke
like
when
that.
you said a staple. I was like, damn, the whole store. But
Yeah, really, we've come up with the Home Depot screws section.
Should
that's
we
how
get
I'm
into the
doing.
award picks?
yeah, man.
No,
No,
I want to keep talking about magnet fishing.
I think it's cool.
Is it even
I have a
okay? Is
metal
it even
detector, and that's
is
fun.
it even fishing at that point? Because like
Well,
Matt said, fish aren't metal.
No, it's magnet fishing. It's magnet
Yeah,
fishing, not fishing.
But it's
Yeah, it's fishing.
okay.
It really is you cast and then you bring the thing back and you hope that there's something on it that wasn't there when you started.
True.
So it
like
basically
fish
is fishing. It just does. You want it to be called like
just doing-
magneting or like metaling
I don't
or
know,
something?
yeah,
Metaling's
like-
already a word.
Yeah, so is fishing. So I don't know what you want, man. Make up a new
That's why
word.
it's
We need a new
magnet
word.
fishing, I think.
We're gonna
call
call it a
Webster and get on
kazooie.
this.
We're gonna call it blumping
gotta
or
do
some
it.
new word.
Yeah, we got to call it that.
All right, we'll get into the awards.
Huel
It is off
Jinklying.
to a bad start.
All right. Let's get into these awards. Should we start with MVP? I mean, I figure it's the one we'll probably have the easiest consensus on for who we think is going to win that award. The way we're doing this, we're just each going to give our picks.
Trey Lance.
Yeah, we can start with MVP. Absolutely
Trey
nothing wrong
Lance,
with that.
Matt Corral. Yeah, no, I mean,
Maybe MVP. He might win MVP of a certain league.
He might.
Ain't gonna be the
NFL. Do we all have Patrick Mahomes to win MVP?
No.
No?
I actually do, but I didn't expect that to be the consensus.
Okay, Matt, who do you have?
Well, here's the thing. I want to make it clear. I don't have Patrick Mahomes, but it's not because any given year. It's because I think he's bad now. But I'm actually going to go with Josh Allen for MVP.
Okay.
I think if he loses, first off, Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That's where we have to start with MVP. He's one of the best players and most valuable players in the NFL. And I think him losing his star receiver, if he were to put up big numbers, I think that puts a little bit more weight on it. It's like, okay, that's impressive. He doesn't have a true number one anymore and he's still producing. But he also has receivers and weapons good enough where I don't think it's going to hinder him a ton. So I sort of think that narrative works in his favor. I'm also maybe trying a little bit here to be different and not say, dude, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football and he's going to win it. I mean, any given year, he obviously could. And I'm seeing some of Mahomes' odds at like plus 600, plus 700. I feel like the odds of Mahomes winning MVP is like, if you told me over the next like 7 years he'd get one, I'd be like, dude, it's probably going to be more than that. I'll run those odds. But yeah, I think Allen, he's good. He's in a good situation to win it, and he's very due. So I'm rolling with him.
He is very due. I can definitely see the path. I'm with you, Matt, that his production isn't really going to fall off without Diggs. I think that we saw a lesser version of Diggs in the back half of last year, or a de-emphasized version. We can argue about the skill level that he's at. Allen was still trucking along, and they were actually winning the most games and made that big comeback to eventually win the division when Diggs was de-emphasized and Joe Brady was the coordinator. And yeah, I'm a big Khalil Shakir believer. I think that he had the highest success rate last year. We already talked about that in the sleeper episode. I think he's going to have a big impact. Kincaid might be their number one. They've got a good running back duo now, I believe, in James Cook and Ray Davis. Like, it's all going to run smoothly. So I agree with you that is going to mesh well for Allen's chances. They lost a big name, but his production might actually, it could always go up even if his interceptions get cut down at all, which is very possible as well, considering he threw just so many of them last year. So yeah, I'm with you. He's not going to take a lot of sacks. I think he took Mahomes' crown as the best pressure to sack guy last year. Just got to cut down on the dumb picks in prime time. If he can, he's had seasons where it's been better.
The terrible stinker. Like it's not that he sucks or anything, but he always has like one that kills him.
And Mahomes
he should have. So. He honestly should have gotten more shine for the award last year. Lamar was a very deserving winner. He's I think who I would have voted for, but like. I remember, I think it was Aaron Schatz voted for Lamar and he got jumped on Twitter, or he voted for Josh Allen and he got like jumped on Twitter for voting Allen over Lamar. And it's like, that should not have happened last year. Like Josh Allen was a perfectly deserving winner. So he could always run that back, but I got Mahomes.
I also got Mahomes. I mean, it's boring. I know. But it's the reality is that any given year you have the best quarterback on the planet. He has the same situation of like not a super great receiving core, but he does still have Kelsey, so he's going to be able to have some sort of reliability. But like, how do we even know how long Rashee Rice is going to be out with a possible suspension? I have no idea. So that receiving core could be literally anything at this point.
Well, I think the hope is that the speed guys, the deep threats here, help him convert more touchdowns or more, drives that end in touchdowns into his touchdowns. He actually gets more big plays that finish off drives, so that the numbers look better. Because last year it just wasn't breaking his way for that at all. And of course, like everybody thinks Mahomes is the best player, but you do kind of have to have the numbers backing you up at some point. So that's the question with him. And he's just got to get enough of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that hard to imagine the numbers backing that up next year. My prediction for the Chiefs, I don't know if they'll three-peat, but my big prediction is around December, I think it will really look like they might. I think that when you look at the division that they're in with the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers, they should sweep the division pretty easily. They should have a top 10 defense. And if Xavier Worthy or Hollywood Brown hit, Mahomes should have the most productive big play season that he's had in several years since Tyreek Hill left. Because really, he's been good these past couple seasons, but he has not been much of a deep ball thrower recently. It's been a lot underneath through Kelsey. Last year, he had the 5th lowest average depth of target out of the 42 qualified quarterbacks that I looked at only 6.6.
Yeah.
Wait, was that for the playoffs or for the regular season? I think it was only 6.6 yards. No, 6.4 yards per throw down the field. So very, very low. Now we actually have the big play speed threats back. He was still 7th in MVP voting last year, despite the mundane numbers and the lack of big plays, just because he's Mahomes and he never takes sacks.
That's the thing is like
the receiving core can be completely gutted and they're still winning games. He's going to get some
benefit of the doubt, right? He's always going to get some sort of vote consideration. And if the numbers are even remotely towards that like MVP caliber season, he's going to win it.
Yeah, and I think the receiving core is actually going to be pretty good. Like Kelsey is still good. He's a little worse than he was at his peak, but last season he was still first in first downs amongst tight ends.
And when the
second in
playoffs
yards,
came around,
second in EPA.
He was completely unreal. So
3rd in receptions, 5th in touchdowns. So he's still pretty clearly a top 5 tight end. Their receiving core is better. I think their defense is going to be great. They're in a bad division. I just think him getting his 3rd MVP, the stars are all in alignment. I think we going through this regular season, I think the Chiefs will be dominant. I don't know if they'll get their ring, but I think they're going to have a dominant season, and Mahomes is going to have a dominant season.
Fair enough.
I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Offensive player of the
year.
You
think he's bad now? We'll see how this is not going to age well.
Yeah. He's hit his age, 28 season and
34.
Old takes exposed.
He's 34. Yeah, Mahomes actually turns 50 this year. When it comes to your feet, eBay's got your back, because with eBay's authenticity guarantee, real experts are checking your sneakers, every stitch down to the sole. Me personally, I'm a big fan of a classic Air Force, or maybe a nice suede or leather boot, but whatever it is that you're adding to the lineup next, head to eBay. From the drop to your doorstep, eBay does not play with your sneaker game. Just look for that blue check mark. So ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. But Offensive Player of the Year would be the next one up. Theo, who do you have for this?
I got CD.
Did you just copy my list? Is that what you did?
I figured you'd have CD, but no, I think there's a good argument for it. Matt's trying too hard to be different, or are you?
I am. I'm going to continue to try to be different. If I was just picking like the odds-on favorite, I'd probably go Tyreek, and I'd go Tyreek over CD because Tyreek's a better player than CD Lamb. But I think sleepers here, probably Bijan or Justin Jefferson would be my guess. And I'm gonna roll with Bijan.
Okay.
I think
Bijan. What's the path here?
The path here is that Bijan might be the best running back in the NFL. And my
Okay.
logic behind that is that watch him. That guy is ridiculous, man.
Watch him.
So the only if you felt right now like Bijan was going to get the ball like he probably should, or he was going to get the ball as much as like one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL, this wouldn't sound like a crazy take whatsoever. I'm guessing that he might. I think they're going to run like crazy, but I think the offense is going to be open just enough for it not to be like defenses keying in entirely on Atlanta's run game. And I think their offensive line is very good, but I don't think their passing offense is going to be so strong where they like just lean on Kirk Cousins super heavily or lean on Penix depending on health or whatever. So that's my logic behind it. I mean, Algier was not great last year, like at all.
No, he wasn't.
And really, they should run Bijan like crazy. He's also a huge threat in the receiving game. And CMC is coming off a win. I feel like it's going to be tough to match what CMC does because Shanahan's offense is so good, and then CMC is best in the NFL right now. But if I want to go with a sleeper pick, I'm going Bijan. If I want to go with just like the favorite, I guess I'd go Hill. But I feel stronger about Bijan considering like where his position is.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, how often does Offensive Player of the Year, how often does the winner have some sort of new circumstance? Like with McCaffrey, it was his first full season. He's kind of a new player to the team. Like, how often does it the first season with a new offensive coordinator or something like that, and it just right away it hits, and then the league starts to figure it out? And I'm not saying that I know because I haven't looked it up, but I'll definitely be interested to see what the new coaching staff does with Bijan Robinson, because it's like anything could happen, you know.
Really, truly.
And
but also,
I think the answer is that they should run him a lot, and they're saying they're going to run him a lot. And if they run him a lot, I know he's going to produce. I understand it's far from a guarantee, but I feel like we're asking something unexpected to happen for him not to be in this consideration. I think he's going to be one of the top producing running backs because I think he's going to be one of the best. He's in a good situation. I just feel like a lot's coming together here. I know it's a little predictive, but we got Arthur Smith out of here, man. I think it's going to be Bijan City like it should be for any team drafting a running back that high and a running back that talented.
Matt, can I ask you a question?
No.
Okay. Is Bijan on your dynasty team?
No.
Okay. So we know this take is real.
This one's coming
so
from the heart.
we know this is real then.
No, I just think he's supremely talented, and I think he's in a good spot. CD is not a bad one either. I mean, we know he's going to get a ton of targets, of course, and he had a shot last year.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I think part of winning Offensive Player of the Year is not just having the stats to back it up, but also to just be the most exciting player in football to watch. And I feel like a couple of big CD Lamb games where
Toney.
Kadarius Toney. Just a couple big CD Lamb games where he has like a really sick catch, a 200-yarder. Like, that's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, especially after the year he had last year. And they're going to need him to have another year like that this year if they want to be in contention for the NFC East and the NFC as a whole. So I think he's going to deliver on that. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to, is like a guy that has the ability to deliver. His team needs him to deliver. And do you think he's going to?
Yeah, I agree. I think that CD, there are really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's going to be the Cowboys offense. Who is their running back? They brought back Zeke. It's Zeke and Rico Dowdle. I mean, who is their wide receiver too? It's
probably not Brandon Cooks anymore.
They're hoping it's Jalen Tolbert, really.
Oh, brother.
Like, they're hoping he ascends. So it's going to be the Dak and CeeDee Lamb show. And the kinds of numbers that CD is capable of putting up are pretty mind-boggling. And really, My concern is that he just had an offensive player of the year caliber season, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's impossible to top. Like,
Right.
his season last year is almost underrated in terms of how good it was, because it was such a great season last year for offensive skill position players that he finished third in the voting. But CD's season was more productive than Justin Jefferson in 2022 when he won. I was looking it up. They both had 181 targets, which led the league in their respective years. They both had a 93% on-target catch rate, which is obviously a great number to be at. But just looking at the raw stats here, CD had 1,862 yards. Justin Jefferson had 1,833. CD had 86 first downs. Justin Jefferson had 83. CD had 14 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson in 2022 had 10. CD had more EPA total. It was the third best EPA season since 2015, behind Slant Boy and Cooper Kupp when he had the Triple Crown. Jefferson had the ninth best EPA season since 2015 when he won Offensive Player of the Year. Now, there's some of this, I added in the 133 rushing yards that CD Lamb had for this, but still, they're yards. You know, they hand him the ball out of the backfield. They try every which way to get him involved. So, man, like, if he didn't win it that year, like, is he going to top that? I guess that's my only concern with CD Lamb. But he's in the same situation, and the numbers he put up. I mean, he had one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time. I mean, like,
Yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair.
No doubt about it. So that's why I go with him. And I just think when I look at that Cowboys offense,
the only way he
it's kind of just him and Dak carry.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the only way he doesn't repeat something similar is if he gets hurt, I feel like.
Yeah, just like, we're just kind of like regression to the mean, but saying that and nothing else is like a nothing argument to me. It means absolutely zero. If you're just going to tell me that
and
some guy's just like probably not going to repeat them, like, okay.
Yeah, like, and what is Justin Jefferson's mean? We're not like, oh, he's on the greatest start to his career ever. He's going to regress to something lower. It's like his mean is just really high. You know, CD may not have gotten off to that kind of start, but he's here now. And I feel like he's about as good as it gets. He's amazing after the catch, probably even a little bit better than Jefferson. Maybe he's a bit more slot dependent than some of these other guys. But as far as a number perspective, I feel like, you know, Cooper Kupp, what was he in terms of role? And he won everything there is to win, Super Bowl MVP, everything. So, you know, the role dependency maybe matters if you're making a list of who you'd take. But in terms of like who's winning Offensive Player of the Year, like Michael Thomas won, and he was kind of that power slot running slants all the time, you know. So I don't think it'll hurt. I don't think the slot argument will ding CD at all in the Offensive Player of the Year vibes. But, you know, if Bijan has a Christian McCaffrey type season, we just saw Christian McCaffrey win it over the season that CD just had. So if you're really that high on Bijan, and I think Bijan agendas could pay off, like he might be ascending, and CD may not be able to top what he just did when he didn't win.
Right.
I'm very interested to see what Bijan is capable of. I mean, I agree with you, Matt, that just watch him and you'll see. I'm worried a little bit about how much he'll have in the receiving game, because I've never thought of a McVay running back as being like this crazy high receiving upside type dude, like McCaffrey is. Was Gurley getting a bunch of catches?
I feel like
but they haven't had that type of runner, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like a team with Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles is probably going to see a lot of checkdowns, because you want to get the ball out of his hands, because you don't want him to take hits, and he's not super mobile. And then I'd say Penix is the same way if he sees some time. And, you know, he had 60 receptions last year. He had like 90 targets. He's such a threat in the receiving game that it would be malpractice not to use him accordingly. I could be wrong, but I'm betting on the talent here.
It's typically not a bad
and
way
I wonder if he could have like a Derrick Henry effect where they just tear through all the teams in their division, because like, where are the rushing defenses? I guess the Panthers running defense isn't that bad because of Derrick Brown, and like Frankie
because of
Louvu is gone now. Like
because of Derek Brown and
uh,
it's
Vitor Gross
not gonna be
Matos.
great. Right. Clowney, we need you.
Clowney.
Clowney.
Hey, Clowney's been a good run defender, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think it's
We'll
going to be
see,
the world's
but yeah,
greatest run defense. But we'll see. I question their linebacker play next year. I think it might be pretty ugly.
yeah, the Saints front seven as well, not the greatest. The Bucks front seven has been aging for a while now, although they got some good. The Bucks front seven should be pretty good actually.
Yeah.
So maybe it won't be quite as bad as Derrick Henry.
I feel like also
2019 in the AFC
I didn't end up looking at like schedules to be like, oh well, who plays the best? Who is the best schedule to get the award? But that might be something to look at as well. But I didn't look at that, so I can't say.
I kind of did.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we want to move it.
Not really for offensive player of the year. More some of these other teams. But
Yeah.
Like Mahomes in the AFC West. But I probably would have picked Mahomes no matter what his division looks like with the current roster.
Right. But yeah, let's move on to defensive player of the year. I went a little bit different than you would expect me to here, but
who did you say?
Watt.
I said Max Crosby.
Hey, I mean that's not too crazy, but yeah, let's.
It's not crazy. It's just, I mean, you would expect me to say Garrett, but
well, he just won one,
due.
so I assumed you have eaten and are now full on your Myles Garrett agendas.
Well, I've eaten full. I don't know if I'd say that, but
the back-to-back is needed.
It is needed. It's always needed. But no, I Max Crosby is another guy that's had, you know, defensive player of the year caliber seasons. And at this point he's, you know, in the Matt terminology, he's due for his fill as well. The thing with Crosby is he's going to produce because he's always on the field. Mm-hmm. So that's the one thing is you know he's going to get 1,000 snaps at, you know, on the defensive line. So you know he's going to be able to get the production out there, and you know he's going to be a valuable asset to their defense because they literally need him to. And then when you add Wilkins next to him, I think it's going to free up a little bit of space for him to cook even more than he already was.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. My pick is Parsons because I think he's maybe the best remaining edge rusher who hasn't won one yet. And he means so much to that Cowboys defense. And statistically, he's so strong. The advanced stats that people pay attention to, he's incredibly good
Just love him. Yeah.
Of course, with Defensive Player of the Year, you absolutely have to pick a pass rusher. I mean, sportsbooks have Brian Burns at the same odds as Ahmad Gardner, which is super ridiculous. But it's not ridiculous from the sports books. It's ridiculous that is true and that is how it works.
Right. No, I get it.
Now, Theo is sitting here. I honestly have no idea that you did this. Theo is sitting here rubbing his hands together. We're going to assume, we're actually going to mute his mic. We're going to assume that he's about to make a Sauce Gardner argument. We don't want to really hear. But
I am.
Are you? This is huge, man.
That's what I'm going to do. Sauce Gardner is my pick. But I want you to keep talking about Micah Parsons before I get into Sauce. Or we could just collectively have the Micah, because he's the great obstacle in the way of the Sauce Gardner thing. I feel like he's going to be very tough to win over because he just is so fast. He's almost an outlier in terms of how productive he is when you look at the advanced analytics. I mean, he just flashes to the quarterback in an instant.
That chart.
That chart is very important. The chart is very important. And with Micah, like, he might be hitting his prime these days. Like, he hasn't been in the league that long. And if he's already hitting the types of highs that he is hitting, which, like, could he be the best defensive player that we've seen since prime Aaron Donald? Like, could he surpass anything that TJ Watt and Myles Garrett has done? Like, I believe he's capable of it. Especially because, like, he could drop into coverage too. Like, he doesn't do much of it, but just as a defensive weapon, I do think that Micah is the best, but I don't want to go all total chalk. It's just not within my personality. So
Well,
I
give
went
us the
with
sauce case
Gardner.
then.
Well, the sauce case is eventually people realize that teams just haven't thrown to him all year, and that would just be a convincing argument. Like in 2022, he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously not the same, but he won it over an edge rusher. He won it over Aiden Hutchinson, who had a good season that year. So it's possible for a corner to get their shine. They just need to have a season that's a certain amount of special. It wasn't that long ago that Gilmore won. So
Right.
recently it's been all edges since then, but I don't think it's impossible for a corner to win if they have a good enough season. When I look at Sauce Gardner, he has gotten first team All Pro each of the last 2 years. He is now entering his age 24 season, which is kind of, I believe, when primes start, when you're about 24. They've added Hassan Reddick to a defense that was already top level. And from 2022 to 2023, Gardner went from 67 targets to 44 targets. It went from 29 completions allowed to 21, 354 yards allowed to 299. So teams are just kind of throwing at him less. He didn't have the same production on the ball in terms of like pass breakups, but it's kind of hard to do if you just don't get thrown to. And I feel like in 2024, the defense could be even more formidable because they have Reddick, and Gardner could be thrown at like 30 times all season. Like that is my imagination. Like the pass rush is going to be, I even thought about giving Quinnen Williams a nod because I think he could be set up for a really nice season on the interior. But Gardner is even more special, I think, in terms of his lockdown capability. I do feel like that Revis graphic could come up where it's like, man, he's kind of allowed 0 yards all year, and all he needs is one graphic. He needs one.
This is what I'm saying. There's
0
two
yard, 0 yard, 0 yard, and then everyone would say like, hey, all these pressures are nice, but if Sauce really allows nothing all year, like you can't tell me voters wouldn't be moved by that. And like he's on pace to be like one of the greatest corners ever, considering how his career has started.
There are two things that are in the way. The first is, yes, you need that graphic. You need like big sports media to really be
graphic.
pushing like, oh my God, Sauce Gardner has allowed no catches, no yards, no like something crazy. But then on top
We're
of
gonna
that,
make it
you have
if nothing.
If nothing else, Stay Hot will be behind this. Don't get it twisted. The other issue
Yes.
is that the defense that he plays on is so stacked. And when you go to start assigning credit, how do you start to divvy that up? Right. And if Sauce isn't getting targeted, well, then people might say, well, the pass rush is so elite. Right.
It's true.
So that would be my other concern with going Sauce. And honestly, it might be better if he does get targeted so he can get some picks. But
yeah, I mean, Deron Bland got all that. He got a little bit of hype
Right.
last year because he had so many pick sixes, and
yeah,
obviously you need to kind of get targeted to get a bunch of pick sixes. Sauce will never have that type of production in his career.
Right.
It's obvious to say. But I do think that the stats exist that if somebody, maybe it's one of us, we're the podcast to do it, can like frame the argument in the right way, I think it can pick
Yeah.
up steam. And if the Jets are good, Sauce will be a huge reason why. I agree, like in terms of, yeah, it could very well be that Quinnen Williams is so good as well that it almost hurts Sauce's case, whereas
Right.
like Micah could be the only star on Dallas's defense or the main one.
Yeah.
Or especially Max Crosby, this is true for. But I don't know. I think it's possible for a corner to win still, although it's getting more and more edge heavy, and maybe it's just going to be that way forever.
Maybe the case against Crosby is that the Raiders defense as a whole won't be good enough.
I mean, that's been the issue.
Right.
How good do you think the Raiders defense is going to be?
That's
They got a
That's
little bit
tough. I
better
don't.
towards the end of last year. I do think they could be pretty good. I think their front four is going to be pretty
The
killer. But I thought
the front four is going to be good. The issue that they've been having has been in the secondary, and I don't even know how I feel about their linebackers right now.
yeah.
Yeah, the issue with Sauce is that people don't respect him like that at all. It's more
He's only
of like
had
that
one DPI the last two years.
Yeah, no,
one
but
each
see, here's
year.
the thing. It's like anytime he gets burned on a slant, it's all over my timeline, dude. Or like not burned on a slant, but like Evan Ingram had like a drag route where like Sauce got picked, and it's like, you suck, Sauce. People, he's like, no, you're not like Revis. You're a fraud. You shouldn't be up there. That's all the talk that I see, man. Now I know I'm biased because I'm rooting for Sauce or whatever, but like, yeah, he's very clearly going to be like the cornerback of this generation, and him getting a Defensive Player of the Year would be deserved. And it's been clear with Sauce for a long time, to be honest with you. And I guess his online disrespect hasn't. I guess his online disrespect hasn't manifested into him not winning awards, but people don't talk about him like he's a guy who's won first team All Pro his first 2 years of his career. I mean, there's guys in the Hall of Fame with 2 first team All Pros, and that's their big accomplishment. And Sauce has done it in 2 years.
Right.
But I just feel like you're fighting an uphill battle. Parsons is so good. TJ Watt cannot have a 20 sack season. You will not beat a 20 sack season as a cornerback. And you have to hope that like Crosby doesn't put up crazy numbers or whatever, because he's out there a ton. It's just, it's doable, but it is such an uphill battle. And I just don't think Sauce quite has that grasp on like the narrative or the conversation or the media sphere like he quite needs to. It's a big leap from being first team All Pro, where it's like, well, we have
Darrelle Revis never won Defensive Player of the Year.
It's definitely an uphill battle, but Gilmore did. You know, it's like just because Revis didn't doesn't mean it's impossible. I do think we're in an extremely strong era for edge rushers right now. I will say, I think part of the reason it's been handed out to edge rushers the most recently is like all the best players on defense are legitimately edge rushers recently.
I think it is entirely because sacks, the stats are, and pressures. Like the stats are just clear for edge rushers. A linebacker, like the second that tackles stopped being a big deal for linebackers, GG on ever getting a Defensive Player of the Year, because what stat can we look at now? There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So they're not good. We don't even know what they're doing, truly.
The only linebackers who could get it are Fred Warner and who's the Ravens guy?
I almost feel like I don't know what the case would have to be for a linebacker to get it these days. I mean, did Shaq Leonard get one recently? But he was such a turnover merchant. He is never the favorite amongst us film nerds.
He got a bunch of
also didn't get one.
Pros.
He didn't get one, did he?
Not.
Keekly was the last one.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Keekly was so good.
I don't know what it would take for a linebacker to get him, because it's like there are stats that measure them, but it's like not every awards voter is aligned on what those stats mean. You know, like PFF grade could determine linebacker play, but usually there's not a very big discrepancy in PFF grade. Like the top guy might be a 93.7, and then the next guy is 91.8, you know, and it's like, what does that necessarily mean? Is Fred Warner like far and away the best? Is it, you know, how do you measure this? And then there's like the tackles don't matter, obviously, but then there's like average depth of tackle. It's very hard to build any kind of statistical case for a linebacker. So I don't think we have like any kind of statistical measurement for what Fred Warner does compared to other linebackers, where we do have this very nice chart on what Myles Garrett does compared to the next best edge. So yeah, definitely. But you do see those.
I feel like you would need a guy like who's the C? I always blank on names. Jordan Brooks? You would need a guy like Jordan Brooks, but he would need to be like twice as
Why
good.
Jordan Brooks?
Because
he gets like sacks.
Because the
like
Seahawks would line him up all over the place. They would line him up at edge, and then they'd line him up at middle at like Mike and Will. It's like you line him up in so many different places. It's like he's gonna get picks, he's gonna get tackles for loss, he's gonna get sacks.
That's almost like Kyle Hamilton, though, right? Like,
yeah.
Could he win? Do you think? Do you think Kyle Hamilton has any shot?
Kyle Hamilton wouldn't be the worst like sleeper pick, I don't think.
I think he would.
His case would be so funny, like it, because he's got the same deal as the linebackers, right? Like he's the main everything guy, where it's like you could maybe just make a cumulative case.
But he's not an edge rusher. Sauce Gardner has won 2 first-team All-Pros to start his career. The guy did not allow a touchdown all of college. Like, the guy is so legendary with such a pristine record. He is being given the same odds to win it as Brian Burns, who has never had a 10-sack season. Dude, Rashawn Gary has better odds than Sauce Gardner. Maybe it's an edge rusher heavy. Era right now. But Sauce is clearly as good at his position as anybody could possibly be. And it just doesn't matter because it doesn't get stats. And we're sitting here talking about, like, how can we invent a stat to show that he is that good? That's basically, it's like,
I think it could work though. That's my I think if we push the agenda, we could get it started. Like, at least on Twitter. Maybe there's like, I don't know.
Anyway, at this point in his career, Darrelle Revis had 0 first-team All-Pros. He had 1 Pro Bowl through his first 2 years and nothing else. So good luck to him on catching up.
Good luck to Revis.
That's all I know. Yeah.
And what happened? And in his age 24 season, which is where Sauce is sitting right now, I believe.
We will be first. Okay, you're right. And Sauce is winning.
Revis was also first in AV on Pro Football Reference, which I don't know how they calculate this exactly, but hey, that's something. He led it in something that people pay attention to. He had 31 passes defensed. Passes defensed in 2009. Oh my God.
Yeah, we're
and
just
that's the age that Sauce is hitting.
Here, but it's fine.
Well, yeah, it'll be a little bit more difficult, but again, just one graphic needs to hit the screen in a Jets primetime game that says like Sauce Gardner bye week, 0 targets, 0 targets, 0 targets, 0. It gets screenshotted. ESPN tweets it out and says Sauce has been locked down this year. It's about week 12.
But then there's going to be whining and wailing about him being physical because this generation is soft. No, it's very sad. We might as well not play the games.
Gardner, the sad thing about Gardner too, now I'm not even talking about anything but just Sauce's play style, is like he's actually should be commended about how good he is at avoiding the defensive pass interference. Like he is anti-DPI boy because he gets physical with you, but right at the last, right when it's about to turn into DPI, he like always lets go. Like he just knows exactly how much to get away with, and it's noticeable when you watch him. Like he just knows just the right amount. So he's only had 1 DPI called in 2023 and 2022. So it's not even like people will be able to look at and say, well, he's locked down, but he's been called for 5 penalties this year. Like that would be very out of character for Sauce. So anybody who says that will get shot down very quickly by the three of us will deploy and win defensive player of the year for
And when he gives his acceptance speech, he'll be like, I'd like to thank the Stay Hot podcast.
He'll say thank you, Matthew. He'll say thank you, Matthew. And I'll be there. So that's gonna be
You'll be up on stage with him. You'll be holding the award above your head.
Yeah, it's gonna
be in the background.
That's gonna. You've talked me into this.
It wasn't very hard.
You gotta do the Kanye. Everyone wanted to know what I would do if I didn't win. Yeah, Matt has to say it, not Sauce. Matt has to say it. I
Matt
guess
will
we'll
accept
never
it on
know.
sauces I have. I do think it's possible. I think Vegas is the one that's wrong. They have Brian Burns at the same odds of Sauce. I think they're underrating just how likely it is that the Sauce agenda can kick up because Burns ain't winning it. I'm afraid.
Real. We will single-handedly push the Vegas odds. But let's get into the next set of awards, which are the rookies of the year, offensive rookie of the year.
I think we're going to be completely aligned here.
I mean, it's
All right, on the count of
offensive rookie of the
three.
year, I think is
1, 2, 3. Caleb Williams.
Williams.
Marvin Harrison? Oh,
no
never
way.
mind.
What position does Marvin Harrison play? Come on, this isn't even a question. Why even? Dude, honestly, I think a receiver could win MVP this year too.
Why did I forget about Caleb Williams when I was thinking about this?
Because he's the obvious choice, and it's like
Marv
just
has
like-
Yeah, the
a
obvious. I'm
fighting-
not even looking at the favorites anymore. I'm just right to second place.
Marv has a fighting chance against Caleb because he is so good and he's going to get thrown to a ton and he has a good quarterback. But there is no possible way I am picking against a talent like Caleb Williams in a situation that he's in. Like, we have to know that Ty is going to the quarterback. And if it's like Caleb Williams throws for 3,800 yards versus Marv's like 1,400, like, it's not even going to be a question. Caleb's going to run away with it. And I think the Bears and this will be like the Bears' like first good quarterback ever. And that's going to be a huge narrative about how finally the curse is broken. Like, if Caleb gets to 4,000 yards, which could totally happen,
Bears
SGG
fans
immediately.
will band together and make it impossible to vote for anyone else. They'll be monitoring the ballots.
I mean, if Caleb Williams hits 4,000 yards, what do you think Marvin Harrison would have to do to beat him? I mean, I straight up think it would need to be like 1,700. Like wide receiver like fantasy wide receiver number 1. Like, that's how good he needs to be.
Yeah.
And even then he wouldn't be a quarterback. It'd be tough. It'd be close. Did Jefferson or Herbert end up winning it? I don't remember. Jefferson
Herbert
with
won.
that, right?
Herbert won.
No, Herbert
won.
Herbert won. Stroud won over Puka this year, and Puka was like top 5 in receiving yards.
Puka didn't even have like a hope. Am I wrong? Like, he didn't even come close.
I'm about to see. Hold on. You guys keep talking. I'll figure that out.
Puka had the greatest rookie receiving season ever and didn't come close.
Like, CJ Stroud was great as a rookie, dude, but like his numbers weren't even that crazy, to be honest with you. And Puka was like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL statistically last year. Just didn't have a shot. Just wasn't a quarterback.
CJ Stroud got 48 first place votes. Puka Nacua got 2.
I mean, I can accept Stroud, winning.
Played
I thought
15
it was close.
games too.
Yeah, dude. Sorry. Like, just no shot.
Didn't Puka get like 19 targets week 1? Like something
And that's
just
the
ridiculous.
thing. It's like, you would think Puka would have the, like, this guy was a 5th round pick and is this good, like, sort of graces around him. But truly, nothing is more important than playing quarterback. I mean, why even at that point? Like, if there's years where a quarterback won't win it, but it's only the years where none of them are any good. And I just don't think that's the case this year. And I think Caleb in such a good position as well. Like, I mean, we're way more confident that he's going to be on like a stacked team than we were with Stroud. And Stroud's team wasn't even like, it was good. It was a good situation. It was a really good situation. But Caleb is walking into a team that wasn't even that bad last year and added Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. Like, his receiving core is legitimately, I wonder where we'd rank it if we sat down and did our receiver core rankings. I think it'd be top 10. And it
would be top 5. It might be the best.
It's right up there with anything. And I just don't see any path to Marv winning unless he is legitimately like the best receiver in the NFL. Then if Puka didn't even get close, because I think Caleb is going to outproduce. I think Caleb's going to outproduce what Stroud did last year. And he's, again, the 4,000 yard mark feels so achievable, and it would be such a big deal because the Bears have never had one. I think Marv could go for 1,700 yards and not win it. I mean, that's the level that we're at right now.
I guess here's my pushback. I think Stroud making the playoffs and winning the division at the end of the day changed things. I think if the Bears finish third in the NFC North behind the Packers and the Lions, would Caleb have the same type of weight that Stroud did as a division winner? And if Caleb throws more than 5 picks, could he get the Josh Allen ding? I guess.
Maybe, but I think people would be giving him a pass because he's a rookie. And I think the Bears would make the playoffs as the third best team in the NFC North. And I think that negates a lot of that.
Do you think the Bears are going to be in it?
In the playoffs? I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be those 3 teams from the NFC North, and I think it'll be the Cowboys as the final. Maybe, well, I guess the Seahawks could give them a run for their money. Or the Rams
Yeah, we'll
could as
see
well.
how it all shakes
But
out.
I think,
but yeah,
honestly,
I agree
think
with
the
you.
Bears
Like,
have a pretty
the Bears
good
have
shot.
a pretty good shot.
They have a pretty good shot at it.
And I
It just
also
feels
don't
like
know
their
if like
offense is
are
gonna
the
be
Cardinals going to be in the playoffs? Like
that's the thing is like, yeah, maybe Caleb doesn't get that credit, but you know who definitely won't? Marvin Harrison, because he doesn't play quarterback. They could go undefeated. Nobody would care. It would be Kyler.
yeah, Kyler would win MVP. That would be it. But
yeah, I do think, man, Marv is
I
went with
so
Marv.
good.
I don't know. But I almost like forgot about Caleb. I don't even know how that was even possible for me. Where I think it was maybe because I just watched a Falcons game. I watched the 2017 divisional round game against the Eagles, and like Julio Jones had a route, and I'm like, wait a minute, I saw Marv look exactly like that at Ohio State. And like since I had that thought popped into my head, where I'm like, wow, Marv really is just like maybe Julio Jones again. I've just been like, he's gonna win every award, and then like forgot that Caleb is like Kyler on steroids, like getting close to maybe even like Mahomes when you watch him play.
yeah,
Caleb over Williams is pretty good as well. First overall pick. I think I just kind of wrote in Marv. I'm like, oh yeah, he's the best wide receiver prospect ever. But now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it is. It's going to be very
might
difficult
be the best quarterback
to beat a
prospect
quarterback.
ever.
Yeah, to beat a quarterback in the situation that Caleb is in. I guess it's just the Packers brain in me, like forgetting that the Bears are good now. I might change my pick to Caleb Williams as well. It is going to be tough for Marv to overcome, even though I do think that he is like the next Julio.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson was the next Julio, and he didn't win.
I have a lot of respect for your Marv pick. It has nothing to do with how good I think Marvin Harrison is, obviously. But
no, you've moved me to Caleb. I agree that he's going to put up 500 rushing yards, like 4,000 passing yards, like 30 touchdowns. Him and Rome are going to go off. Like I think all these things are going to happen. Their pass rate is going to go from like bottom third of the league to the top of the league under Shane Waldron. And just his addition is going to completely transform everything about the Bears. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of impact. There's going to be too much impact. And Maya is the only other quarterback that I could see, but he's not going to put up Caleb's numbers in New England. He might not even start. So, yeah, let me get Caleb as well. But Marv, I think has a fighting shot.
Fighting shot, but
his fighting shot is that Caleb does not put up that great of numbers. Marv is so good, but he does not control his own destiny. That's how I'll put it.
No, he doesn't. No, he does. Caleb does. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. If the Bears were to miss the playoffs and maybe the Cardinals like make it, and maybe Caleb struggles with
I guess,
sacks
and Marvin has to beat Puka's record. Like he has to be so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll need like tough. A 1,500-yard season, which I think he can walk in and have 1,500 yards as Kyler's main guy. I really think that that's not going to be. I shouldn't say not an issue for him because it's like never. If he beats a record, that means it's never been done before. But he's like fully capable and in the situation to do it. And this record has been getting broken like over and over again, just kind of like the quarterback records have fallen. Like I remember Baker set some No, was it Baker who said? Did Baker set any rookie
Baker
records? Blaiden?
tied Peyton, or was that Herbert that tied Peyton Manning's record?
I think Baker did it. Why do I have this idea that Baker set some sort of touchdown record his rookie year?
I thought Baker tied Peyton Manning's record.
I think he
Well,
did, and then regardless, like Herbert was setting records after that, and now Stroud comes along. So like these quarterback records have been getting broken left and right, and same thing with the receiving records. Like Odell Beckham comes in and is great, and then Justin Jefferson beats his records not that long later, and then the year after that, Jamar Chase comes and beats them all, and then like the year after that or 2 years, Puka Nacua comes and beats them all. Like with the extra game, it's not unthinkable to think these records will continue to get broken. So I really think Marv can beat the record. It's just, can he beat Caleb? And I think Caleb would have to, he'd have to like throw some pick, and like if Caleb throws some pick and it like they're in the wild card race and it costs them, people could say like, oh, Caleb had a great year, but he had that one game that was bad that cost the Bears this spot, and we can't give him the award if he cost them. And Stroud never had to deal with that because he only threw 5 picks and the Texans made the playoffs. So by the time the awards started, like that had been in the. Yeah. So I think Caleb can have more yards and touchdowns, but Stroud was pretty spotless in terms of what he accomplished and where he brought the Texans. And I just don't know if the Bears will have that exact same thing in the North. So I don't know. I guess maybe I'll stick with Marv and just say Caleb will throw. So one bad pick that costs him everything.
So true.
It'll be against the Packers too. It'll be against week 18 or something versus Green Bay. Here we go.
There you go.
Jair taking it to the house, and Marv wins. This is my
at Lambeau.
Yes. And then the Packers go on and win the Super Bowl. I'll just go full bias.
Well, they'll lose the Super Bowl against the Browns, but yeah. Other than that, you're pretty spot on.
The nasty man is winning Super Bowl MVP, you think?
Oh no, it would be Jameis.
Still, the nasty man is winning Super Bowl MVP.
No, it would be Myles Garrett, actually.
There
Matt
you go.
Corral, mid-season signing, emergency quarterback heroism. Get ready.
This would move the needle for me. But defensive rookie of the year is
okay. This one we all have to be aligned with, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah. Leatu.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that like 15 of the last 17 defensive player of the years have come within the first 15 picks of the draft. That just leaves Latu. He was the only one taken.
And the thing is that I wonder if maybe that's like less likely to be true because there's so few guys now. You know what I mean? Like, okay, a lot of them have it, but that's usually because there's a lot of defensive players picked at the first 15 picks or whatever. Latu I don't even think so. Going to be so productive.
Yeah. I think it's going to stay true because Latu's going to be that good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be so productive. He's so built to just go in and instantly start winning as an edge rusher. Yeah. I mean, I guess some of the concerns with him were like injury stuff, so he could get banged up, or like maybe his ceiling isn't like Myles Garrett high, and that's why he didn't go as like one of the top few picks. But the reality is that like he's still going to be a very good athlete for the NFL. He's still incredibly technically sound. He's coming in a little bit older. That actually helps you in this case, whereas in the draft process, it hurt him in the cycle. So there's other dudes I think could be competitive for it. I mean, there's other corners I really like Nate Wiggins could, or maybe Arnold goes and like is like locked down for the Lions, and he makes such like a big difference to that defense that he gets a lot of credit. But Latu is definitely my pick.
Yeah.
I mean we just hold him in such a high regard
to go against. He's just, again, it's just like a better version of Hutchinson to me. That's all it is. And Hutchinson was like so day one, like obviously, yeah, he's good. Like he's just already an NFL player. And I think Latu's even better than him as a prospect. So I'm so excited.
And Latu is going to a situation where he's next to other serious guys with
bro.
Buckner and
Oh, yeah.
Stewart, and it's a formidable defensive line. Even without him. So it's not like teams are going to be able to key in on him. I think he's in a perfect situation. He should come away with this. And I think it's a disappointment if he doesn't.
Yeah, he's by far got the best case. I don't think Dallas Turner is going to come in and have the same impact as him right away. I don't think he was the same caliber prospect. He does not have the pass rushing arsenal. And he wasn't as productive in college. So why would all of a sudden he be as productive in the NFL? I guess maybe Brian Flores could cook something up. But if he's just getting a bunch of unblocked blitz pressures, like, people would definitely note that. And I think it would be taken into account with the voting. Like, we have enough stats. Again, with edge rushers, the advanced stats matter a lot.
The chart.
Like, the chart matters, unblocked pressures matter. Like, these are all things that can be very easily tracked. So if you're Mickey Mouse in any kind of way, like, it's getting picked up on. But if you're an edge rusher, and if Turner gets way more sacks than Latu, I think it would be because of, like, Flores's schemes.
I'd
runs
be pretty
straight there in 1
shocked
second
if
and hits
Turner
him.
had more sacks. Because like you said,
Because he's not ready to beat linemen like Latu is.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Turner's a good player, but he's not ready to beat linemen like Latu is. And that was reflected in when they were drafted. Latu's just zen. He's like a samurai master. Or I guess samurais use swords. Some sort of martial artist just on some... I don't think guys are going to be able to handle him. And the situation, like you said, Matt, is so good. He's going to be next to DeForest Buckner. They've got Kwity Paye, who had 8 sacks last season. Yeah. Ebukam had 8? I think Ebukam had like 8.5. The Colts are actually like shockingly high in pressure rate. So they're going to be able to like rotate him in and out, keep him fresh.
That would be.
I don't think he's going to have
actually, that would be the case for him not to get it, is if they just rotate too much and he's like,
if they rotate too much, but I don't think that. I think he's going to be the starter, and I think if they rotate him,
I would expect him to be.
I don't think rotating him is going to have a huge impact on his numbers, because if they rotate him, every rep he'll be a little bit more effective, as opposed to if they were just like starting him every single. Like, a lot of edge rushers rotate these days. Yeah. Like, Max Crosby doesn't, but he's kind of he's kind of the only one who's actually out there.
Max Crosby doesn't because he can't. Like, if he rotates off, like, they're giving up a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the thing about edge rushers and all that, like, we talk about the chart, like, I feel like people don't even talk about sacks with edge rushers anymore. It's pressure and pressure rate. Like, efficiency numbers matter a lot for edge rushers. So if he's always fresh and rotating, and he's the best edge rusher, and he's taken first, and like, I just think Latu has too much going for him to pick anybody else. But I've been talking a long time.
No, I agree. I don't think
we all agree on.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate. If anyone else disagrees in the comments, let us know. But yeah, I mean, he was, I think, all of our defensive player 1 in this class, and he went to an ideal situation. So.
Yeah, my defensive player 2 is Johnny Newton, and he's going to be last place in defensive player of the year voting, I fear. He's like the 3rd defensive tackle on the team. His feet are already banged up, and he's on a horrible defense. Like, he's going to be last somehow.
I fear you might be. I'm trying to think about who my defensive player 2. It might have also been Newton. Yeah. So
for most, it was Newton or Byron Murphy.
Yeah.
I think Murphy was the 2nd defensive player off the board. He's got a decent shot at it, Murphy. Like, he could be really good, but
I could see it.
But Latu's the pick. So that brings us to comeback player of the year.
Flacco repeat.
Oh, brother. Flacco didn't even deserve it this year. God.
I get more mad in post at that award. It's like, Flacco wasn't even that good, and he wasn't coming back for anything. I legitimately think it's like grounds to disband the award if Flacco won it.
I cannot believe they gave it to Flacco. I can't, bro. He was on pace for like, what, 40 touchdowns and 50 interceptions? Like, what are we talking about?
It's just
I
a
almost
backup
feel
to
like
insanity run. It's such a joke, dude. I think they're going to return to form and just give it to like whatever injured quarterback puts up the best numbers.
I think it should go to Nick Chubb.
I think Nick
Shockingly.
Chubb could win. Like, he's probably the most likely to come back from a major injury and like do something.
He's got a
Back-to-back
good
Brown.
mix. He's got a good mix of very good, so he could come back and maybe be strong. And his injury was really bad, so it feels like a lot to come back from, which are sort of
Yeah.
like the two pillars of what you consider. My problem is that I think he's 29 years old and he has a major injury as a running back. So I don't think he's going to look better than like a Joe Burrow or something. Kyler maybe could be cool if he's like an MVP talks. I think there's a world where it's like, oh shoot, Kyler is like him again, and he'd sort of like buck the narrative on him. I mean, I saw Chris Sims had him ranked as like the 17th best quarterback in the NFL. If Kyler can actually complete one of these like MVP starts he goes on, but like not quite good enough to win it, it's like, okay, we're going to give him a comeback, even though he kind of played a decent number of games last year. Burrow could obviously get it if he goes and puts up like an MVP level season or his best year. That could do it for him. And then I think that Anthony Richardson has a really good shot as well. If he comes in and it's like, oh, shoot, Anthony Richardson was actually nice this whole time. We just didn't get to see it last year. He's going to get comeback player of the year is sort of like his salute. My guess right now, like if I have to pick one of those, is going to be Joe Burrow because I think he's the most likely just straight up to have a season like that. And he's the most popular, and this is a bizarro award. Like we're really guessing Twitter narratives here. And that's no joke. It's no.
I'm
like,
voting DeMar Hamlin next year.
Award.
I'm going back to it. I'm striking up the fan. We're running this DeMar Hamlin agenda back. It's still a miracle that he's in. The miracle hasn't gone away.
It's every year. It's a little bit more of a miracle. Even
it's a little bit more of a miracle. In fact, he should go back to back to. This is the beginning of his three-peat run.
Oh my God, the three-peat comeback player of the year.
He was legitimately robbed last year. That is my.
Oh,
that is my great take. He was
Joe
robbed
Flacco.
blind by Joe. He should. Joe Flacco voter fatigue is getting him the award this year. There's Rodgers. Speaking of like injured quarterback, like Rodgers
is
would
a good
have
one,
a
but I
very
think
easy narrative.
That's my
What did you say?
my gut check. Oh, Rodgers is also a good one, but I think he's 40 and coming off an Achilles. Like my guess is that he won't come off the injury well. That's my fear.
I also don't think he's likable enough.
Yeah, this kind of is just like a fucking we like you.
Right. People got sick of hearing about DeMar Hamlin, so they just gave it to some like random quarterback who sucked.
That's what I'm saying.
Literally,
what are we talking about?
Wow, Joe Flacco won 3 games with the world's greatest defense. Like, we must give him the
Damn, Joe
finally
Flacco
an excuse not to give it to woke DeMar Hamlin.
He was
What were his numbers last year?
Flacco, he was going to put up like 50 touchdowns and 40 interceptions. I mean, it was not
his
a real
QBR was sub 50. He was 4-1. I'll give him that. Literally, if QB wins, if wins aren't a quarterback stat, explain Joe Flacco's comeback player of the year. He just went 4-1, playing mid.
Didn't he throw like 2 interceptions in the playoffs and they lost horribly?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like,
yeah, they got fucking crushed. I remember
he threw a pick in every game he
couch.
appeared in last year. He went 1 pick, 1 pick, 3 picks, 2 pick, 1 pick, 2 picks.
Yeah, man.
Here's the thing though with Rodgers. If Rodgers is anything like he was though, like if Rodgers looks great, like he will run away with it. Like he is the one guy who is in control of his own destiny. If him and Burrow have a great year, Rodgers will win it because his
Rodgers has like the saddest story. Yeah. So yeah, Rodgers. That's a good way to put it. Like Rodgers is the one.
Here's the thing. He's kind of talked a big talk. He's called his shot with his injury comeback. in a way that other guys like
All
haven't
we have
really
to
or
do
just haven't needed to.
What Rodgers what's going to have to happen for Rodgers to win it is that graphic where what's the quote he said to Garrett Wilson?
We're just trying to guess
Sorry,
what graphic
kid.
will appear. Right.
If that graphic resurfaces, then Rodgers will win it.
Okay, my prediction is that Jake Delhomme comes out of retirement and throws 9 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in 4 games and leads the San Francisco 49ers to a 3-1 record. And everybody soy faces and gives it to him. That's my
prediction is that my prediction is that Matt Corral makes a return middle of the year.
Too many Matt. We just jumped the shark on Matt Corral references. The thing about Rodgers as well is like, according to Flacco, he doesn't even need to play well. The Jets just need to be good, and like the defense could go a long way helping him win comeback player of the year. But all this to say, I don't
think that works for the whole season, though. I think that only works. Oh, Herbert.
Oh yeah, he's coming home with some more hardware.
Stop.
Herbert, man. It's not his fault,
throw
though.
45 hypothetical touchdowns. Get out of my face with that bullshit, dude. That offense is going to suck. You know what? I'm
He's
actually
coming off the worst hypothetical injury.
Once people start doing the Harbaugh sort of like, dude, he knows that offensive line is the most important. Actually, like, dude, he's so wise. I'm gonna start twisting that into Herbert doesn't matter at all. You know what I mean? Because like it's gonna be both. Or people are gonna ignore the fact that Harbaugh went to the Chargers exclusively to like have a really good quarterback, but it's gonna be his genius move of like drafting a tackle or whatever. It's like, all right, offensive line is important. It starts in the trenches, and people are gonna like fold their arms and raise their eyebrows and like smirk, and it's like, see, it's like I just can't stand that. But I'm gonna twist that into Herbert isn't important. And I don't think Herbert is coming back from that much. To be honest with you,
you really got to think he's coming back from the most, kind of.
Yeah, if you kind of think about it,
if
he's coming back from being a horrible loser,
He's coming back from the worst to the least.
You got to think of the mental.
If you went crazy, people would give him credit.
What he's gone through as well, and when you think about that, it's clear that he's had the most to overcome from a
Herbert plays well.
Not only from a physical rehab standpoint, but from what he's had to mentally persevere through, because so much hasn't been his fault. Like a lot of people would quit football by this point, but he has continued to persevere. He hasn't demanded a trade.
He's had to overcome imposter syndrome because he's so terrible.
When he wins this award, he'll thank his therapist, and
yeah, he's a shining beacon for a lot of different things. So I've got Herbert winning this one.
I've got Chubb.
Any other awards? There's Coach of the Year. That's the last one.
The last one is Coach of the Year. This one's kind of tricky because it's always. I feel like
Coach of the Year is like completely random. Like it doesn't even speak to if you're a good coach. Like if you win this,
it's the beat expectations award a little bit. So I bounce a little bit around. I like Steichen a decent amount for it.
That was my pick.
That's usually who I go with.
The Colts are good, but if Richardson comes back and he's strong, and I think that I really liked their draft, I feel like they could be more competitive, or they have like a better chance of winning that division than people think. And if that reality does play out, it's going to be super unexpected. And I think that could get him the award. That's sort of like my vision for it.
Yeah, let me get a Jonathan Gannon.
Crazy odds.
And Gannon would be my number 2, where it's like they exceed expectations and they make the wild card in the NFC, and that gets them the award. But like Kyler isn't good enough to win MVP, and Marv can't win Rookie of the Year or Offensive Rookie of the Year. So it's like, who are we going to award? Could be Gannon.
Yeah, I think that the Cardinals are kind of set up for success. I could see that too. I think the Chargers could actually end up being pretty good despite the lack of talent on defense in the receiving core. But when I look at Gannon and the Cardinals, it's tough to actually pick them above be anywhere but last in their division. Like the Rams were in the playoffs last year. The Seahawks have more talent on paper still. The 49ers are a powerhouse, but I could see the Cardinals finishing second. I don't know if they could beat the 49ers out, but I do think they could finish above the Rams and the Seahawks. I'm not saying they will, but I could see it. But they'll always be projected like last in every ranking that comes out this offseason. Like that's a hot take if you have them second, but it could happen. And I think Petzing is quite good. Their OC, and Gannon will get any credit probably for what Petzing does. And their defense was a little bit scrappier than we expected last year. We'll see what the defense is able to do, but I do think the Cardinals are set up to, like, they're not going to fall short of expectations. Like, I feel like nobody actually is going to pick them to do much, but everybody kind of thinks they're good contenders to actually overcome the low expectations that they have. So it's like kind of tough to tell what the Cardinals' expectations actually are. Like, I feel like from a winning standpoint, everybody's like, I'm going to say they'll win 5, but they'll probably win more. I don't know. Like everybody's excited about them, but they don't know if they've arrived yet. But maybe it'll happen a year early.
I think I'm going to ultimately go with Steichen. The Texans are probably the favorite to win that division, but I really do think the Colts could, especially if Richardson's as good as we think he's going to be, and they added the receiver from Texas, who I just can't do names today.
A.D. Mitchell. Yeah.
That's just A.D. Mitchell. Yeah, they added him. They added Latu on defense, and their defensive line was already pretty great last year. I mean, the path is they were, one play away from being in the playoffs this past year. There's not a whole lot that could stop them from doing it. And Gardner Minshew won't be their quarterback. I thought Steichen was a perfectly reasonable candidate last year, even though Stefanski ended up being the guy. But yeah, I think Steichen's who I'm going to end up rocking with. I think he's probably the best case to win it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Well,
so those are all the awards. Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Herbert.
I can't say I have it.
All right. That is actually the end of the episode now. Can't believe that. But thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Stay Hot. Got tons and tons of content coming away on all platforms. We know we didn't go live on Tuesday. But we're thinking we probably will on Friday if you all will be interested in watching that. But unless you hate us, of course, that is the other possibility. But until then, and until the next episode, once again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flippity flop.